All righty, good night, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to our October 2024 Barrow County Board of Education Board meeting. We appreciate all of you guys joining us here tonight. Our hearts are still very heavy with the horrific events that happened at Appalachia High School on September 4th, and it serves as a stark reminder for the importance of safety in our schools and the need for vigilance in protecting our students and staff. Now, in light of these events, I do want to take a moment to commend our new superintendent, Dr. Dallas LaDuff. He's leading us through an unimaginable event with strong and compassionate leadership. His swift, thoughtful, and decisive actions he's taken in response to this situation has really put us on the road to healing. Dr. LaDuff has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of our students and staff, and the board is in constant communication with him just to make sure all the options that are coming forward to us to be voted on are fully vetted and that it's the best interest for the students and staff in Barrow County. We're encouraged to know that the students have returned to the classrooms at an astonishing rate, and this is just a testament for how strong our community is and the backing that they have for them. I do want to say thank you to everyone here and out in our community. Thank you for your support and dedication to our schools and our students. Let's move forward together, united in a mission to provide a safe and nurturing environment for every child in Barrow County. At this time, I'd like to ask for you guys to join us in a moment of silence to remember the lives that we lost at Appalachia. Let us never forget Christian, Mason, Coach Aspinwall, and Miss Irmy. Their families will remain in our thoughts and prayers. Now I've asked Mr. Kane if he will open us up with a prayer before we start our meeting. So if you'll stand with us, and then once he's finished, if you'll remain standing as the Winder High School JROTC leads us, presents the colors.
So before I begin, I thought a lot about this. Appreciate the honor of being asked to give this message this evening. You know, the thing that makes Barrow special is community, connection. And so in the spirit of that, when I start in just a moment, I'm going to invite the board for us to join hands. I would invite you to do the same thing because that's what makes us special. That's what makes us one. That's what brings us together. This is the first time I've ever prayed about giving a prayer. I don't remember praying about giving a prayer before. So bear with me. I thought it was a little long, but he said it was okay. So just keep that in mind. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we gather here today as we continue to mourn the tragic loss of our beloved teachers and precious students. The pain and sorrow we feel as a community are overwhelming, and we come before you seeking your comfort and peace in this time of unimaginable heartache. Lord, we pray that you surround the families of those we have lost with your boundless love and compassion. In their pain, grant them peace. In their weakness, give them strength. For the students, teachers, and staff who carry the trauma of this event, we ask for your grace and healing, that they may find restoration and hope in these days ahead. As we face this tragedy together, help us remember that love will prevail. In the midst of this darkness, let your love shine through our actions, our words, and our love for one another. Unite us so that we may stand strong together, offering support and kindness to all who are hurting. Grant us the wisdom to lead with integrity and compassion. As members of this school board and school system, we ask for your guidance in our decisions so that we may honor those we have lost by building a safer, more nurturing community for all today and for all the generations to come. Though our hearts are heavy, we trust in your promise that light will come again and love will always prevail. May we walk forward in hope, knowing that even in the darkest of times, we are not alone. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
pledge allegiance
Order, march, march time, march. Oh. Forward, march. March time, march. Color, vote. Left, right.
Good evening, I'm Cadet Second Lieutenant Brian Vargas from Barrow High School.
Good evening, I'm Cadet Command Sergeant Major Landon Martin from Barrow High School.
Good evening, I'm Cadet First Sergeant Anthony Molina from Borough High School.
Good evening, I'm Cadet Carrington Harris from Barrow High School.
Right, hey. Column right, march.
Thank you, cadets. You may be seated. All righty, at this time, before we move forward, we need to amend the agenda to remove the Legacy Park item from our consent agenda, and we're going to place it as an action item to vote on separately. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Stevens made the second. All in favor? All righty, motion passes. Thank you, guys. All right, this time I need to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the September 3rd, 2024 regular board meeting and the September 24th, 2024 work session and called board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Kelly, Ms. Hendricks, all in favor? Okay, motion passes. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the amended agenda for tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bailey, Ms. Stevens, all in favor? Motion passes. And lastly, I'd like to ask for a vote on, for the approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Stevens, Ms. Kelly, all in favor? All righty, thank you, guys. Motion passes. Now we're going to go down to our action item, and we are going to vote on the Legacy Park item. This is the superintendent recommends amending the agreement with the Barrow County Foundation to extend the date by which ownership and operation of the park would transfer from the Barrow County School System to the Barrow County Community Foundation from December 31st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Ms. Maloof and Ms. Maddox are both recusing themselves due to personal conflict with the Community Foundation, so we appreciate you guys. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second from Ms. Kelly, all in favor? All righty, thank you, motion passes. All righty, now I'd like to call Dr. Leduff down to the podium for a few superintendent recognitions.
Good evening, board members, and welcome to all of our visitors here tonight. Tonight we have with us members of our local law enforcement and first responder communities that responded to the tragedy at Appalachia High School on September 4th. It was a dark day, but as I shared with you last week, in that darkness we found tremendous strength as a community. On behalf of the Board of Education and our school system, I'd like to thank the courageous and selfless men and women who responded to the call for help that day. They were not deterred by evil or fear, but rather motivated by their love for our community and our children. These heroes stood in the gap for our kids and teachers on September 4th, and we thank them for their continued support, care, and protection of our community. We've got all of the responders who came to Appalachia that day listed on the screen. But tonight with us are our local teams who we'd like to present a small token of our enduring appreciation. Dr. Bowen is going to come forward and call you up by agency to be recognized. But before they do, if you are a family member of one of these responders, I would like for you to stand and be recognized. We know the work that you do on behalf of our community as first responders is a family business, and we just want to make sure that we say thank you to your family for sharing you with us. Love required a lot of you all that day. You continued to show up for our community. You showed up on that day. You continue to show up every day after, as another example that love will continue to prevail in Barrow County. Dr. Bowen.
We'll start with the Barrow County Sheriff's Department, please. Come on down. We are distributing some coins that were handmade by our students and staff, and we're going to be putting in a second and third order. We need more, and we'll make sure that everyone gets one, though. Thank y'all so much. Next, we have Barrow County E911. Please come down. Barrow County Fire, please come forward. Thank you, guys. Barrow County EMS.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Brown. A little tall here, sorry. One of our paramedics that responded to this horrific event is named Ryan Duchesne. He has a little side project where he makes these beautiful flags, and so he wanted to make one for all the students and teachers at the high school. So from Northeast Georgia, Barrow EMS Division, we present to high school this flag for you guys to post on your walls.
Now we have Northeast Georgia Medical Center, Barrow EMS. Okay. Winder Police, please come forward. Statham Police. We have everyone from Statham here. And Auburn Police. Thank you.
I'm trying, Joe. Next, I'd like to have Mr. Joe Perno, our Assistant Superintendent of Operations, come and present a recognition.
Thank you. Good evening. We would like to recognize our custodian of the month. For this month, this is Miss Ileana Castro Espinoza from Ileana's with the Barrow Arts and Sciences Academy, and she's a day porter there. I'd like to read a few words from her principal, Thomas Thurlkill. All right, and he writes, Mrs. Castro Espinoza takes ownership of this school and addresses any need that arises. She coordinates a schedule with our cafeteria manager to address the floor and items in the kitchen, as well as taking charge when things need to be done. Most importantly, she leads her task with a consistent smile and warm greetings to both students and staff. She is also one of Bass's great cheerleaders and represents this school wherever she goes by sporting the great Blazer Blues while in the community. I want to express my sincere gratitude for Ms. Castro Espinoza and all she does for our Bassa community. You may have some family here or supporters if y'all want to stand up. Thank you.
And next, I'd like to invite Dr. Angela Moten, our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
Good evening. The Phil Pickens Leadership Award is a statewide honor recognizing outstanding leadership in the collaborative work between home, school, and community to improve outcomes for students with disabilities. Outstanding contributions to the Georgia Parent Mentor Partnership Program, and consistent outstanding leadership accomplishments in special education. The award is named after the founder of the Georgia Parent Mentor Partnership, Mr. Phil Pickens. The late Mr. Phil Pickens is a former Department of Education Special Education Director who dedicated more than 35 years to improving the education of children with disabilities. At this time, I would like for Mr. Jared Calloway to join me to continue this recognition in honor of a very important person on our staff.
Thank you, Dr. Moten. So I'm going to read something because I wrote it. If not, I'll forget what I had to say. So I was a parent mentor for Bexar County Schools for the last 4 years. It was a huge honor. So I actually nominated Miss Wadley. Her dedication has not gone unnoticed. She is a leader who values her team, fostering an environment where we all feel appreciated and motivated to contribute our best. Her impact is felt by everyone who meets her, and her unwavering passion for making Barrow the best provider of special education service is a testament to her character. Thank you, Amy, for 4 incredible years of leadership, inspiration, unwavering support while I served as a parent mentor. I cannot wait to see what you will accomplish in the coming years. Congratulations on this well-deserved award.
And that concludes the superintendent's recognitions.
Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to continue on with our Bold Spotlight, and this month we have the special pleasure of highlighting Heyman Morris Middle School.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, parents, and community members. It is truly an honor to be the principal of Heyman Morris Middle School. Tonight, I want to celebrate the incredible students, that dedicated staff, and our supportive community that makes our school such a wonderful place. Some of our highlights include, this year our students performed achieving levels 3s and 4s on GMAS math, increased approximately by 5% from 2023 school year. Level 3s are proficient and level 4s are distinguished. Also, 96% of our Algebra 1 students achieved a score of 3 or 4 on the GMAS as well. And on August 1st, we welcomed approximately 981 students into the doors of Heyman Morris. Around 50 of those were new. Mr. Trevor Queen, our agriculture teacher, was awarded a $4,500 grant from FFA's Grants for Growing program. He will use the funds to teach students skills in building electrical circuits, woodworking, and laser engraving. September 24th, parents and students attended our family engagement night. Deputy Cook, our SRO, gave a presentation on the dangers of social media and strategies for keeping kids safe. We also organized a parent resource fair in the gym where parents received information on supporting their students with math, ELA, and 6th grade success, as well as details about clubs, sports, and other counseling services. All these resources will also be added to our school website, where we are building a digital parent resource repository. This year, we are also partnering with Appalachia High School to offer Skills USA experience for our middle school students. Skills USA is a career-focused student leadership organization that empowers members to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible American citizens. In September, our community faced challenges that tested us as a community, but rather than feeling overwhelmed, we experienced an outpouring of support that reminded us of just how strong we are together. The love, care, and dedication we received from our community touched every student and staff member at Heyman Morris Middle School. We witnessed firsthand how unity in times of difficulty can uplift and inspire. There are several organizations that stepped up to help us during that time. Their generosity and care made a huge difference, and we are deeply grateful. When the Heyman Morris staff returned on September 9th, we wanted to do something special for them. Thanks to our PI coordinator, Christine Moore, who made a few phone calls, several restaurants donated enough food to not only feed our staff, but we were also able to welcome Yargo Elementary for lunch that day. And then we were able to send several pounds of barbecue, peach cobbler, and hamburgers to our sheriff's department to thank them. It was truly heartwarming to see both our schools come together in support of one another. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the following businesses and organizations for their generosity: Bethlehem Church, Georgia Farm Bureau, Chick-fil-A, Top Dog Tavern, Freddy's Frozen Custard, and Shane's Rib Shack. Throughout the week of September 9th, several other organizations from surrounding areas sent an overwhelming amount of love and food. Nothing Bunk Cakes from Athens, Chico's Women's Clothing Apparel catered a luncheon for our staff by Master's Table, LCC Canine Comfort Dogs and Caring Paws Comfort Dogs. We had a lot of love from some furry animals that week. Midway Church, Elite Imprinting, Shirtwork Screen Printers provided T-shirts for our entire staff. Your kindness helped lift our spirits and make us feel genuinely cared for during this challenging time. I want to take a moment to recognize our students and staff, the heart of Hammond Morris Middle School. Our students demonstrated incredible resilience, kindness, and dedication, making us all so proud. Our staff showed unwavering support for our students. They go above and beyond to ensure every child feels cared for and loved. It's their hard work, compassion, and dedication that make our school such a special place. The support we received from parents, local businesses, and organizations highlighted the best qualities of our community. We came together to support our students and staff, and together we became stronger. This experience has shown us that we are more than just a school. We are a family that takes care of one another. Moving forward, we want to build on this momentum. We aim to continue fostering a supportive environment that encourages academic excellence, character development, and community involvement. We believe that by working together, students, staff, families, and community partners, we can continue to achieve great things for our school. I want to thank the Board of Education for your continued support of Hammond Morris. Your commitment makes it possible for us to provide our students with the opportunities they deserve. I also want to thank every member of our community for standing with us. Your support means the world to us, and we are proud to serve such a wonderful community. As I conclude, I want to say that with the collective efforts of our students, our staff, our families, and our community, there is no limit to what we can achieve. Together we are stronger, and together we will continue to make Hammond Morris Middle School an incredible place to learn and grow. Thank you all for your time, for your support, and for believing in our school. Now let's take a look at a few of the amazing things and people happening at Hammond Morris Middle School. thank you. And again, I'm truly blessed to be here.
Thank you so much for sharing. We always love to hear the exciting things happen at Hammond Morris. Alrighty, next we're going to jump into our presentations and discussions, starting with Dr. J.B. Bowen with Support Services.
I'd like to ask Dr. Lowe to join me, please. We want to extend a great appreciation to all the mental health professionals, therapy dogs, and the like that have been in service at Appalachia with our students and staff in recent weeks. And want to give a special thanks to Dr. Lowe for organizing much of that and keeping the needs, being able to meet the needs at Appalachia, which has been, as you might imagine, a great task this past few weeks. But Dr. Lowe is going to come back with another report on our recovery efforts at Appalachia.
All right, good evening. Tonight, I wanted to review with you the support we have put in place for our Bexar County school community and Appalachia High School after the shooting on September the 4th. These are the beginning steps to healing, and we will continue to offer support in the months and the years ahead. Rochelle, do you have a PowerPoint? You can pull it up. I'll go ahead and start talking. On the days immediately following the shooting, we offered, in collaboration with GEMA and Critical Incident Consulting, grief support for families here in the PDC boardroom. Over those 2 days, around 300 families attended. The following week, Dr. David Schoenfeld, director of the National School Crisis and Bereavement Center in Los Angeles, flew out and he spent the week with us. On Monday, he presented to principals, counselors, and nurses in person, and many other staff via live stream on supporting grieving students after a traumatic event. Also that week was the first day back for teachers, and it was a belonging retrieval day at Appalachia High School. We had around 50 school counselors, school social workers, Project Aware teams from neighboring school districts, as well as community mental health providers that were present that day to provide support for students, families, and staff when they retrieved their belongings, and to be there for staff on their first day back. On Tuesday and Wednesday, Dr. Schoenfeld presented to Appalachia High School staff on self-care and supporting the grieving student. We had a community resource center ran by GEMA that was available all week at the Leisure Center. This was an extension of the grief support that was offered here at the PDC the week before. We had several eye movement desensitization and reprocessing sessions. It's called EMDR. It's a type of intervention used in trauma treatment. The School Social Worker Association of Georgia, they're called SWAG, sent 40 trauma-informed social workers to dispatch from the Winder Library for the entire week to the rest of our schools. Our social workers here in Bexar County started reaching out to families at Appalachia High School. They started with the most impacted students and worked their way out, and they're continuing to do that. The purpose of these phone calls were to offer support to the students and families and to gauge the need for referrals to long-term therapy. We also had plenty of therapy dogs on each campus throughout the week. And our Human Resources Department began to and continues to support our staff, offering assistance through our EAP program and communicating with our staff members about other options for their behavioral health needs. The following week, Gwinnett County Public Schools sent 20 crisis team members each day to dispatch to all of our schools who still needed support. The Winder Library remained our centralized hub. We invited families from Appalachia High School to come to the library for counseling support and connection to long-term therapy options. We also met with bus drivers to train them on psychological first aid before their routes the following week. And you guys know that our bus drivers are oftentimes the first person that our students see in the morning. Then on September 21st, we worked with a local agency to offer free EMDR therapy for student survivors and their caregivers. There was also a community trauma presentation with a Q&A hosted by trauma therapists. And then last week, so on September 23rd was Appalachia High School's open house. We had 40 trauma-informed behavioral health professionals that were available across the building. We had a social services table with resources available, and our team coordinated with Arts Now to create an option for students to take part in a watercolor mosaic for the school. There's also therapy dogs. Last week, we also welcomed back students to Appalachia High School on September 24th through the 27th. We had 40 to 50 trauma-informed behavioral health professionals available at both Appalachia High School and Chi East. The professionals were stationed throughout the building and in many of our classrooms. There was also therapy dogs. We provided a trauma-informed script to our teachers and several activities to do with the students on the first days back. There were buddies for teachers available for if and when they needed to step out of the classroom at any point during the day. So this week, we still have behavioral health professionals on campus at Appalachia High School and Chi East, and we are meeting with agencies to discuss options for consistent long-term support. So lastly, I wanted to share with you the providers who have poured into our community. So the providers on the screen here are the ones who have been present on our campuses and inside of our classrooms the past several weeks. But it does not include everyone because, as you can imagine, it's impossible to keep up with the outpouring of love and support from the people in our community and our state. So there's been other numerous community providers and over 230 individual providers that have reached out to support us. So we'll come back and give you more updates. Are there any questions from you all tonight? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Dr. Lowe.
Thank you, Dr. Lowe. Finally, I wanted to repeat our thanks to the Board of Education last week for approving the new 8 SRO positions. I also wanted to recognize our Board of Commissioners. I know we have some representatives here today. If you would stand if you're with Barrow County Board of Commission. I know that we had several of them here earlier. They're out in the lobby. Okay, they were here earlier, trust me. And we want to thank the Barrow County Board of Commissioners as well because our SROs are funded jointly by both the Board of Education and the County Commission, and we're thankful for both and thankful that we'll be adding more SROs soon on all of our campuses. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Bowen. Alrighty, next we have Ms. Houston with Business Services.
All right, we're going to go through our financial report for the month of September. First of all, our sales tax came in at $1,744,526. For our general fund, financials, the next page. Our fund balance was $71.9 million. Our total revenues year-to-date for September was $33.1 million. Total expenditures, $50.4 million. Our total revenues month-to-date for September, $14 million. Our total expenditures for September, $16.6 million. And then that's just the detail. If you have any questions, you can stop me. If not, we're going to move on to our special revenue fund for the month of August. Our revenues were $794,000. Our expenses, $2.2 million. For capital projects funds, our revenues were $1.9 million. Our expenditures, $8.2 million. And for our debt service fund, revenues $4.8 million, and our expenditures $2.6 million. The last report is the invoices between $10,000 and $75,000 for the month of September. Do y'all have any specific questions on those? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we'll have Mr. Perno with System Operations.
We'd like to give you an update on a couple of items we brought to you last week. The first is the short-term classroom pod building at Appalachia High School, and we've got some photos there of the pod being put in place. The school requested additional classroom space on the campus on September 12th, and in less than 3 weeks, this pod was open for students and staff today. It's quite a feat. It was a great team effort from so many entities and individuals, our business services department, IT, maintenance, GEMA, United Rental, Jackson EMC, ECI, Charles Black Construction, our local fire marshal's office as well. Got great support from them. Cunningham, Forehand, Matthews, and Moore, and Breedlove Land Planning. We didn't make any calls twice. When we called, we got immediate response from everybody, and that's what it took to pull that together. So I'd like to thank the board for your support of this project, and also the long-term pods, and being able to vote on both of these items last week certainly helped us. We get our order in at the factory. I will tell you that with Hurricane Helene, that has created some issues at the plant there itself and those working in the plant. So we may see an impact on that. Hopefully we can make it up, but probably a couple-week delay potentially. But again, you go back to the hurricane, and that pod on the Appalachia campus was put in place even in the midst of that. Kind of shut down Thursday evening and Friday morning, and that was really it. Jackson AMC was out there at one point at 2 in the morning, and they went directly from this project out to restore power from the hurricane. So again, many thanks to all those who helped us, and to our board and our system for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Dr. Moten with Teaching and Learning.
Hello again. I am sharing information about our return to school. As you can see on the screen, our attendance on September 3rd was at 93%, slightly lower on September 24th at 88.36%, and as of today, the attendance is at 86.13%. We have offered a virtual option or virtual options for students who needed support with their return to school. To date, we have 47 students who have opted to enroll in the virtual learning program. On the second slide, there was a question about last week about the support for students, and I wanted to share that Georgia Tutor is a free tutoring program that is offered through the Georgia Department of Education, and on the link there, there's a description of the Georgia Tutor program. Just to share, it is completely free for students who are in grades 9 through 12, and it is described as a groundbreaking program powered by Georgia Virtual Learning. Georgia certified teachers with solid content expertise provide one-on-one tutoring. Those sessions are tailored to meet the individual needs of students. And best of all, it is entirely free. Georgia Tutor offers flexibility for students with tutoring sessions available outside of the regular school hours. Students are able to select the dates and times that would best work for their schedules, making academic success more accessible than ever. And the hours for that, program hours are Monday through Friday from 4 to 10 p.m., Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and even on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. So Georgia Tutor is available. Students who are in grades lower than 9 through 12 receive support from staff members inside the district. We do have a team inside of the district who have worked together to help students across the content area. So that's available as well from certified staff members within the district. But I just wanted to give you an update on attendance and on the academic support that is available for students. Are there any questions?
I actually do have one that was asked to me late this afternoon, so I didn't have a chance to call
Sure.
in advance, of one of my constituents on the online version.
Mhm.
Is there, with the Foothills program,
Yes.
is there a certain time that they have to sign up for that? Or can they sign up at any point in time? Is
We
there
have
a
been
deadline?
accommodating parents as they have had the need to sign up, and we have not yet set a deadline on that.
Okay.
So we're just accommodating the need as they come in. So
Okay,
if there is someone who is in need, encourage them to contact us.
okay. And is there any, other than that in the Georgia online, is there anything else? I know at one point, Dr. McMichael had said something about wanting to have an online of our own other than Foothills. Is that still in existence or not? 'Cause I
It
didn't
is
know
still
anything about
in
it.
the works. We are working
so
to
we don't have-
establish our own homework hotline within the district.
But we don't
But
have
it
it
is
yet.
an effort that is ongoing. We have not got it fully operable yet, but it's not off the table.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moden. All right, next I'd like to welcome up Dr. Kurtz with Human Resources.
Thank you, Superintendent, members of the board. I'm going to talk just briefly here about staffing update at Appalachia and Appalachia East with their reopening. While our counseling department has worked hard to make sure we have the behavioral and mental health supports we need to keep folks healthy, we also need to make sure that we have the instructional, administrative, clerical, and other supports in place. We're excited to have started the second week of school there, having both campuses, Appalachia Main Campus and the Appalachia East, open and staffed. To provide support, we had 18 substitute teachers to make sure, and about 8 retirees each day last week to make sure that our staff could step out of the classroom if they needed something. They had plenty of support there. And working with the leadership there at the school, we've de-escalated that. They're trying to get some normalcy back, and so they have 12 substitutes they've requested for this week. No retirees in the school. But we do plan to continue to staff at least 2 in-house substitutes for the remainder of the year to provide continuing support so that as teachers or others are needing things, we have that extra capacity and can meet those needs as they come up. Additionally, we've hired 4 new teachers that have just finished their first week of instruction, so we're excited about that to make sure we're supporting the learning needs of students there. Additionally, we've moved administrative, instructional, clerical, nursing, and safety staff members from other schools and from the board office over to Appalachia and Appalachia East to support the reopening and ongoing operations. These people, for the most part, were thrilled to step up, help out, and be a part of what's going on over there, a rebuilding and reclaiming of that space. The last piece we have towards hiring is what Dr. Lowe referenced, and that is we're looking for partnerships and or staff to serve as clinicians in the school on a longer-term basis, and I know she's partnering with a variety of folks. We're looking for funding for those positions, as well as some partnerships to make sure that we have, when the subs can step in, we also have the high-quality clinical support that our staff and students can take advantage of to step out. Lastly, I just want to highlight the staff there at the school that show up every day to make a difference in the lives of kids. That's what they signed up for, but it's more important now than ever. The leadership of the school has done an amazing job, and the staff there are needed now more than ever, and they are there showing up each and every day, like the rest of our staff across the district, and we're proud to be a part of their work and their efforts to support our community. Any questions?
Another question that was asked me late this afternoon that I did not have an answer to, and I don't know when they have to refer to our safety, whether it's something, because I know there's some things we can't say about safety, was with our subs. Are they trained on safety also, like our other staff?
We have some training in progress around Centegics, and there is some safety training that they receive. I'm not sure that we can get into the extent of that training here, but there is some training that they receive in terms of what to do in a situation.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, other questions?
All right,
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. Kurtz. And lastly, I'd like to welcome up Dr. Thompson with Strategic Information Services.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you as always. I want to start off with a couple of smaller items. The first is, at our last meeting, we highlighted the work that Ms. Vallis and her communication team have been doing, and we showed you where we have sort of cataloged all of the communications that have happened since the September 4th incident with our families. And Rochelle, if you'll come down to September updates, kind of if you'll go down, but we did move them a little bit. Kind of go up a little bit. Up. Right there. There you go. Frustrating to do from afar. So if you'll scroll down there, we have moved under there where it says all updates from BCSS and AHS. If you'll click to expand that, we want to be as public as possible with all the communication that has happened with families, stakeholders, and the public. So we originally had these things in kind of two places, and we decided to consolidate those. So I wanted to take a second to highlight that, where that ended up at. But that is where we're cataloging all of our communications related to the aftermath of September 4th. The second thing, you've already voted for it on the consent agenda, but I just want to once again thank the board for voting for our addition of classroom phones. We think that will function in a variety of ways. It'll help improve internal operations at the schools. It'll help make teachers' lives easier, help make administrators' lives easier, and it will also increase safety. So we want to thank you guys for taking that action last week. You were very gracious to take action on several items at a work session that will help us get things in place quicker, so thank you for that. What I'm here to talk about tonight is the next steps in when we look at enhancing our security at our schools. And if Michelle will pull that PowerPoint up. Since the tragic incident on September 4th, we've been collaborating with our school system partners, experts internally and externally, our law enforcement partners, to begin a comprehensive examination of our school security procedures. I want to stress this is going to be a deliberative and intentional and inclusive process. One of the things we've learned in studying this issue is many schools and many districts that experience tragic events like we did on September 4th, or who have had other high-profile security incidents, have been very hasty in rushing into adding different security measures and have found that what they added was not actually what was needed or was not something that was effective, and they have ended up having to walk those back and scale those back over the years. We want to make sure the process that we embody as we look at this is based on facts and empirical evidence about what is effective. And the second thing is we want it to be a very inclusive process that includes our entire community and stakeholders. We're about to hear from quite a few folks who've signed up to speak, and I want to preemptively thank every one of them for coming out and speaking tonight. It is appreciated. We already, before you've even talked, we feel your passion, we feel your care for how we want to enhance, and we all share in that wanting to enhance the safety and security in our schools. We need to hear from all of our community, so we want to make sure we're deliberate in doing that. So what I want to do at the outset is to just, as we talk through the timeline of this, talk through a couple of key considerations when we talk about school security and safety. The first is security is always about layers of safety measures. That's one of the things that is always discussed in any safety conference I have ever been to, any consultation I've ever had with an expert. There is no single layer of security that you can put in place that is going to be perfect. They are layers that you add on to one another to overall increase the safety. So whether that be technology like our Centegic system, our Checkmate system, our security cameras, whether that be training that we do with our staff on keeping doors secured, if you see something, say something, all of those things layer together, and when we put layers on top of that, we make our schools safer. The second thing is security measures do involve trade-offs frequently, and that includes all kinds of things that are not just related to operations. Sometimes adding security measures makes school more challenging in terms of operating, and we have to take that into consideration, but often we end up with trade-offs on safety itself. So as an example, if we put in, as we are looking at, and we'll discuss in a second, if we consider some kind of doorway security, whether that be a weapons detection system, a metal detection system, whatever that may be, we have to look at things like the accuracy of those systems. Are they actually accurate at doing what they say they do? And spoiler alert, some of them are not. The second piece of that, though, is the efficiency at moving students in. We have to move nearly 2,000 students into our high schools efficiently every day. If you create a scenario where you have a backup at the beginning of the school as students are trying to process in, and that goes out into the hallways or out into the outside of the building, you've created a very different security risk. So all of those are things that we have to be very deliberate in weighing the cost and benefits of those. The third thing is some aspects of school security cannot be public. We try to be as transparent as we can be with everything that we do security-wise, but one of the things that is unfortunately true is many individuals who would cause harm to our students, our staff, and our families, they study previous shooters. They study previous folks who have committed these atrocities, and they look at what went well and what didn't. And so we are by law allowed and practically allowed to keep some aspects of our security response confidential. Some aspects we do want to publicize. Some aspects we do want to bring the community in. We'll talk about that in just a second, but there are aspects of how we approach security that for those very practical reasons have to remain confidential. Again, I mentioned this before, not all marketed safety interventions and technology are effective. We currently have members of our staff meeting with vendors, going out to other schools that utilize different technologies. We were doing these things before September 4th. We've continued to do these things since then. And what we want to do is to make sure they're effective. A vendor may tell you this works this way. We want to see it in action and make sure it's actually going to be effective, because we want systems that will support our students. We want systems that will actually make them safer. We can't just go with what a vendor says or what the state says this is an approved vendor. We have to do our homework. And the last thing is we have to make the most informed decisions. We need to engage all of our stakeholders and make informed, deliberate decisions. When we've looked at schools that put in place items out of haste, one of the mistakes they made was they did not engage all their stakeholders. They went with the ones that raised issues, that came and spoke, and those folks' opinions matter greatly. But we have to engage everyone, because you don't want to create a backlash to certain things that come in place, and then you end up walking back the actual security measure you put in place. So those are just things we have to take into consideration as we do this process. Michelle, if you'll go to the very last slide, this is our timeline. I will tell you, it is subject to change. That's why I kind of put a little bit of flexibility in there. The first piece of this is research, and that's an ongoing process. This is something that we were doing before September 4th, but it is something that we are doing in earnest since September 4th. But we want our district staff to be researching safety interventions, accessing feasibility and effectiveness, and identifying key approaches worth considering along with the trade-offs they may bring. As I said, this is ongoing. There's some of that going to be happening tomorrow with several new pieces of technology we want to evaluate. We've taken field trips to other districts. We've looked at things in action, and we're going to continue to do that. Barrow County is a charter district. We have shared governance with our charter, with our school governance teams. We want them to be the first step in the feedback process on this. For those of you who don't know how school governance teams work, they have shared governance at our schools. They are typically made up of teachers, community members, parents, and students in the case of high schools. And they meet monthly to make important decisions about the school. They are part of the governance of that school, working hand in glove with the principal and the Board of Education. We want to start with them. So in October, and some of you may be SGT team members, we're going to have facilitated conversations with you guys about potential security enhancements, give you the information that we have on them, the effectiveness, the trade-offs, how that might affect the schools, hearing that from the teachers that are on the ground, from the principals that are there every day, and to start making recommendations based on what they see and what comes out of their conversation. We will do the same thing with some other focus groups, including Barrow County Schools faculty and staff, our Teacher Advisory Council, Teacher of the Year VIP program, and other groups that we're looking at identifying to bring different community stakeholders in. We want to hear from people, talk through these things, have it be a conversation, not just a we talk at you, then you talk at us, but a collaborative discussion. We will then take the feedback from those conversations and from the school governance team. We'll refine that into a range of possibilities, and then we want to survey the entire community. We want to hear from everyone, and that means reaching out to every parent, every stakeholder, every staff member to get their input on what they think are going to be the most effective measures. We will take all of that together along with the expertise that we get through our partners, and we will then pull that together and consolidate that, and we're targeting doing this by the end of the calendar year. And if all goes well, our intention would be to bring forth to the Board of Education in January or February of 2025 potential action items that the board could look at and discuss as we go forward. But we want that process to be deliberative, we want it to be intentional, and we want it to be collaborative, and more than anything, we want it to be evidence-based, because our staff and our students deserve that. They deserve not just things that may look good, that we can report that we've done this. We want things that are actually going to be effective and make our schools safer. The last thing I want to say before I open it up to any questions from the board is we're talking about enhancements, but I do think I want to stress how much went right on September 4th. That was an awful day, and we are still examining what went down that day, how things happened. But what I can tell you is a lot went very well. Our teachers, particularly at Appalachia, we honored our first responders, and we should honor our first responders, because I can tell you, having been there, having reviewed a lot of the incident, they were heroes that day, man. They came in, they did not hesitate, and they deserve every bit of thanks they've received tonight. Absolutely. But who else were heroes were the Appalachia staff. The way they responded per our safety plan, the way many of them stepped in to render first aid when it was necessary, the things they did, we owe them a debt of gratitude as well. So, thank you. As awful as that day was, and as much work as we have ahead of us to try to ensure that never happens again, we have to also recognize the things that went well that day that prevented a tragedy from being an even worse tragedy with potentially many, many more loss of lives. So that is our plan that we have laid out to try to deliberatively explore. We're going to hear from a lot of community members and parents coming up, and we value their input as well. So thank you all for being here and speaking to the board. I am happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Matt, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment I'd just like to make.
Yes, sir.
Based on this timeline. I love this, but I want to make sure the community is aware that this is not just us researching for the next 3 to 5 months and then taking action. We are consistently taking action, like the additional SROs, the classroom phones. We will be constantly doing things throughout this process. This is for those big items, to really lock our schools down and make them as safe as possible. But we will continuously improve our safety measures throughout this timeline as well.
Safety is an ongoing process, and we will continue to work that process every day.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
We've talked about our first responders and our community and how everybody came together. But there's a group we haven't really said anything about because y'all just always do an awesome job, and that is the people at our central office who have broken their backs since the incident. And that includes our school superintendent, who'd only been here 2 months and has been going nonstop. And Matt, you, Joe, everybody in the central office, all of our clerks, everybody in the central office have done a phenomenal job working with our other staff and our principals and our teachers, and it's just been amazing to watch. And I think this board is so proud of everything that everybody in our system has done, and I just think that needs to be said about the superintendent and all the staff at the central office.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
that
very much.
update. All right, at this time, I'd like to welcome up Ms. Vallis as we enter into our request to appear before the board segment.
Hi, good evening. That's very tough to follow. So excuse me if my voice cracks or, but tonight we have 11 citizens who completed the required request form to address our Board of Education. Before we welcome each of you to the podium, just needed to read some board policies BCBI and BCBI R1, which summarized state. The Barrow County Board of Education values public input about topics concerning our schools. Only residents of our district, representatives of organizations in our district, our student families, or school system employees may address the board. Each speaker is given 3 minutes and is asked to be civil and refrain from disparaging remarks concerning BCSS staff or that violate privacy laws. The board may stop a speaker if guidelines aren't followed. The board will take each speaker's comments and questions into consideration. However, no action will be taken at the meeting. Generally, board members will not respond to questions or comments, but may if they choose to do so. And I apologize, I'm going to announce everyone's name who's going to speak beforehand, but I didn't get to ask you how to pronounce your name, so I apologize if I don't say it correctly. But our first speaker is Lila Contreras. Please also restate your name before you begin, and so I can learn how to say it too. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm short, sorry. My name is Layla Renee Contreras, and I'm a recent graduate of the University of Georgia and proud 2019 graduate of Appalachia High School. Growing up in Barrow County, the school system shaped me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak today. As both a former student and community member, I know how much we care about the safety of our students and staff. My sister and my mother were present during that tragic event, and I witnessed firsthand how our community came together to support one another in the minutes, days, and weeks following the shooting. Our community is still hurting and still dealing with the repercussions of the shooting, both mental and physical. The bottom line is we want change. Over 1,300 members of our community signed a change.org petition asking for common sense safety measures to be taken into account before students, staff, and teachers return to in-person learning. I'm here today to share a few suggestions to help create solutions to help students and staff feel safe now. First, I'd like to propose the implementation of a clear bag policy. It's a straightforward measure that could make a big difference. Clear bags can be searched quickly and efficiently, reducing the chances of missed items during bag checks. Another idea is the use of AI-powered metal detectors. These detectors can identify concealed and brandished weapons, providing a proactive way to prevent dangerous items from entering our schools. While this technology might not be a perfect solution, it could serve as an important part of a larger comprehensive safety plan. I'd also like to encourage clearer communication between the school administration and families. I understand that managing a crisis can be challenging, but regular updates about safety measures would help ease the concerns of parents, students, and teachers. Open communication builds trust and ensures that everyone feels included in the decision-making process. Additionally, in the light of phased return to school, I believe offering an option for online learning through the school system and not a third-party organization that will later possibly need payment as a requirement could provide families and staff with a peace of mind. This would give the district more time to finalize safety measures while also allowing students and teachers the opportunity to focus on their emotional recovery and allow students to return to AHS when they feel comfortable. Offering flexible learning opportunities would show the district's commitment to supporting those who are still processing recent events, ensuring that they have the time and space they need to heal. I also hope the board will consider providing teachers and staff with additional support, especially when it comes to their mental health, allowing them the option to take off time without using their sick leave if they're not ready to return to school, which show that we recognize their need for recovery as a priority. These are just a few ideas that I believe can help make our schools safer and our community stronger. I appreciate your time and the work that you're doing to address these concerns. I'm confident that by working together, we can create a safe and supportive environment for everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Contreras, for coming out tonight and sharing your ideas with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shannon Hammond.
Good evening, Dr. LaDuff and board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you briefly this evening. Again, my name is Shannon Hammond. I am a resident of Winder and Barrow County. I'm a retired educator, having worked here in Barrow County schools as well as a couple of other school districts during my career, serving as a teacher, school counselor, and administrator. Like everyone, I'm devastated by the events of September 4th at Appalachia High School. I'm immensely sad that 4 precious lives were lost. I'm sad, yes, but I'm also angry. I'm angry that one person disrupted our community in such a terrible way. Angry that the name of our town, Winder, and the name of Appalachia High School made national news for such a horrific reason. Angry at people on social media, many of whom have zero direct knowledge of the situation, who made inaccurate statements that just added to chaos and confusion. I personally had the honor and privilege of being at Appalachia for just a few hours the week after the incident, on the day that students were able to come and pick up their belongings. I witnessed remarkable leadership in action that day. I saw the care and compassion that was offered to students and their families, as well as to staff members. The communication from Dr. LaDuff and other district and school leaders in the days immediately after the incident was genuine, sincere, and as transparent as possible, And I say as possible because I understand that not every detail can or should be shared. I know that each decision that has been made surrounding this tragedy has been measured and thoughtful and designed to keep everyone informed while also allowing space for reflection and healing. This is an event that changed Appalachia, changed the school district, changed our entire community forever in ways that we don't even fully recognize yet. I know that there are more actions to be taken to ensure the security and safety of our schools. And as Sheriff Judd Smith, he's still back there, has said, just because we can't see additional security measures doesn't mean they're not there. I have confidence in you all, and I have confidence in our local law enforcement. In conclusion, I wish to commend the Bexar County School System for its response to this tragedy. Your compassion, your professionalism, and your dedication to doing what's best for students and staff serves as a model for others to follow. Thank you for your time, and love will prevail.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. We appreciate those kind words and that continued support.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Erin Holman, but I don't believe that she's here. And she asked me, or asked, not me personally, but asked us to read this statement. She did state that it was written by her 11th grade Appalachia High School student with her support. So Erin Holman's statement is, mental health issues in high schools are a well-known concern, yet many students still struggle in silence. For some, these challenges may resolve on their own, but what happens when they don't? What do we do when a student's mental health deteriorates to the point that it begins to affect those around them? How do we proactively prevent these issues from escalating, and how can we recognize the warning signs before it's too late? The transition from elementary to middle school is a significant milestone in every child's life. It marks the onset of puberty and introduces the realities of stress, anxiety, and loss. For many, this is the first time they encounter the need for coping mechanisms or experience the complexities of forming and losing friendships. Consider a situation where teachers notice unusual behavior in a student before they transition to middle school. This child is not problematic. They are a good kid who doesn't lash out or disrupt the class, yet there is an underlying sadness that the teacher has observed. Unfortunately, as we are all human, such behavior often goes unnoticed. While this may not be anyone's fault, it can have serious consequences. If the underlying issues are overlooked, they may escalate into profound feelings of loneliness and depression that linger into adulthood. The tragic outcome could be yet another mother grieving the loss of her child. To address this critical issue, we could implement mental health evaluations for students transitioning from 5th grade to 6th grade. These evaluations would help identify early signs of depression, ensuring that the child receives the support they need. The new school would also be informed of any potential challenges, allowing for a more supportive environment. We could also extend this evaluation process every 3 years with follow-ups at key transition points from 5th to 6th grade, from 8th to high school, and again in 11th grade. This approach would provide an opportunity to address mental health concerns before students face the pressures of the real world. Moreover, consider a child who appears to be thriving with no visible signs of mental health issues. Then a tragedy strikes, a family member passes away, or a traumatic event occurs. In such cases, the child may begin to spiral with declining grades, diminished effort, and increasingly hostile interactions with peers. Unfortunately, the only remedy may be a brief appointment with a school counselor, which may not be sufficient. What if instead we had robust resources readily available to support this child? By advocating for more comprehensive mental health resources in our schools, we can create an environment where help is accessible whenever it is needed. Our community has already recognized the importance of mental health support in light of recent tragedies. Let's build on that momentum and ensure that our students have the resources they need to navigate their mental health challenges. If we can identify the signs of a potential crisis early, we can intervene before it escalates into something far more serious. Together, we can foster a supportive environment where all students feel seen, heard, and valued. Thank you. And again, this was a statement from Miss Erin Holman and her 11th grade student from Appalachia High School. Our next speaker, and again, forgive me if I mispronounce names, Joshua Mossman.
Thank you guys for allowing me to speak. My name is Joshua Mossman. I am new to Barrow County. I'm deaf in one of my ears. I have very hard of hearing, so if y'all can, if I need to speak up, or I'm new to this. What I have in front of you guys is a historical document known as American History Public School Records Against the Truth. As you guys like to say in Barrow County, love will prevail. The truth will prevail as well. In this situation, we know that the truth is Jesus Christ. We know that love is God. We know that the truth of love is in this room. When I look around, I see a brotherhood. I see a family. I see a unity. I see a body in Christ that many people do not see. I've studied governments. I've studied people. I've studied historical events. And I want to explain to you guys that what I see and what you guys see is two totally different things. I see what God allows me to see. I know that you guys are educated. I'm not well educated. I pray for you guys. I pray for everybody in this room. You guys don't even know who I am, and I pray for you guys. I pray for Barrow County, and I hope that the United States of America sees this and shines the light on Barrow County to stop the violence, because I am a product of every trauma and every piece of torment that you, ladies and gentlemen, have heard and felt in the past couple of months, or since September the 4th or 24th. I'm sorry about the time. I have a lot of nerve issue. I have a lot of trauma myself. I've been through mental disabilities and mental instabilities. I've bounced back, and I've come out of depression. I've come out of darkness. I've been back and forth my whole life because of a board and because of people that have not cared, as I see around this room right here. I look at everybody and I see trauma. But we all know that trauma comes with treatment. Jesus Christ was sacrificed for the resurrection. That's all I'm going to say. And Barrow County is going to have a revival. It's going to be a resurrection. I would like to be able to pass this out because the truth will prevail and love will prevail. And thank you guys. If y'all want it, it's up to you guys. That's all I really got to say. Pray for our judges. Pray for our Barrow County judges, the courts, the police officers. Judge Smith right here. He's right here. I pray for this man right here. I pray for these officers right here. I pray for these guys over here. I pray for everybody that nobody even knows who I am. So thank you guys for having me. I will be looking forward to being back. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mossman, for coming and sharing with us tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is William Philp. Thank you.
Let's see if I can do this in 3 minutes. For one, I'm glad we're finally looking into the metal detection systems, weapons detection systems. That's actually totally different from a metal detector, and I'm sure you're all going to learn that soon. I wanted to start by thanking our county, first of all, for having the response bracelets and SROs in our schools, because half the country doesn't even have officers in schools yet. I don't know if you know that, but that's actually a very rare thing. So we are ahead of the game in some things. But the problem is there's an absolute epidemic of school threats and violence across the entire nation. We've had 400 since this happened here, and that's what, 3.5 weeks, of which only 16 were prosecutable. Law enforcement's mostly incapable of doing anything but responding to the most egregious, provable ones. 25 years after Columbine, it's been proven knowing about this and preventing it is two totally different things. Unlike Uvalde, where a door was left open, or Parkland, where he broke in, this kid walked into a brand new school that he'd never been in for more than a couple weeks, pretty confident he'd get a full-size rifle in there. And that's a very serious progression to where these school shootings are going. Kids aren't scared anymore. We're very fortunate in that we have several counties around us that already use these weapon detection systems and far larger school systems. I think we've got 10 or 12 middle to high schools we would have to protect. They've got upwards of 40 plus. I made some 300 plus phone calls to every vice principal and principal of every one of them schools I could talk to get their opinions on how they worked. I refuse to believe in 2024 we can't keep a gun out of the hallways. I refuse to believe that. And everything else I think we do well. I think our sheriffs did a great job, teachers did a great job, but if we can't keep a gun out of the school, this day and age, it's getting a little ridiculous. It'd be unthinkable for this to happen again, and the fact is it can happen again. It's too easy to smuggle a gun into a school. I looked into the book bags, and every single thing you will look up online will tell you that those are basically ineffective. No matter who you read it from, without the resources to look into every single one, it's too easy to smuggle something in. I'm not saying weapon detection systems are perfect, but you would never get a rifle through that. And I think most of the people, if you chose to contact any of them principals, would tell you that it'd be very hard to get a handgun through. They've been collecting a good amount of weapons the first year they put them in, and most of the principals I did speak to said the last year they've been pretty much weapon-free as far as confiscating anything. We did say love will prevail, and I think we did that, but now I think it's time for common sense to prevail and really see what we can do to prevent a weapon from getting into the school. I don't know if you know about Arizona this week. They just looked into all these weapon systems because they've literally got so many threats now that parents are refusing to send their kids to school. That was in the news yesterday. Right now, lastly, very quickly, we've got the most political capital we've ever had in this county to get state help or state funding for this. We're in the spotlight, and if our town leaders and maybe you guys make some calls, we may very easily be able to get a grant to start out. But I'm glad we're looking into it, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Philp. We appreciate you being with us tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tara Shipman.
Hello. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all of everyone who showed up tonight and is wanting to speak. Also, I think everyone who spoke before me kind of said what we assumed probably everyone here is thinking and wanting to say out loud. My biggest thing was the return back to school. I did reach out and just say, hey, I want our kids to get back to some kind of normalcy. I think talking with the teachers and the other students, they all wanted the same thing. So I was very glad that we did have them return to school. What I was concerned about is that they returned to school almost like nothing happened. So there was no email saying, hey, let's just not bring book bags to school. I spoke to a lot of the teachers who did say that that was one of the concerns is they don't know what these kids have in their book bags. And even just a small thing like vapes that are disturbance and a problem in school. If we had the clear book bags or a mesh book bag policy, I think it would just eliminate a lot of the fear, not only in the school, but on the school buses. So my biggest thing is Colt Gray rode the bus with my child, and she was kind of devastated by that he literally sat 2 seats in front of her, and he carried this, not just a small gun, a huge rifle. He carried it with him for 3 hours before he executed his plan. And that could have just been avoided if he had a clear book bag, he wouldn't have been able to put it in there. Or if we had mesh bags, or if we had school bus monitors is another thing that has been brought up and talked about. Back when I was growing up, we had school bus monitors, whether that was a senior at the school that was reliable or people that were in JROTC, whatever that looked like, there was some kind of reliable person that was a second set of eyes for the bus drivers, because we have to think about their safety too. It starts with those kids getting onto the bus. Metal detectors, I do believe, is something that I'm very excited that you guys are looking into that, and I hope that is something that we can get and or weapon detectives, whatever they're called, whatever you guys are looking into, I'm really fortunate that you are doing that. And I am very proud of our community and the way that everybody came together. And like it was said before, our SROs, our teachers, and even our students, they were all heroes that day, because I also had a lot of my kids' friends who also rendered aid to people who had been injured. So these students and teachers have been through a lot, and I think just returning and trying to get to some normalcy is not realistic. We're never going to be normal again, but I think it would be a step in the right direction if we just at minimal say, hey, let's just not bring book bags right now, or let's implement the clear book bag policy as quickly as possible. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shipman, for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sean Schultz.
Hello, I'm Sean Schultz, a community member, father. I've got 2 kids in Barrow High Schools, Bassett and Appalachia. I'm kind of entering the echo chamber here, I think. I think Ms. Contreras kind of said it. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I think she said it really well. It's time for something to change. And just the no-brain stuff. I mean, things like clear book bags, they don't prevent everything. And it is logistically a nightmare to check everything. It's completely understandable, but it is a huge deterrent for a 14 or a 15-year-old kid. As well as, obviously, you guys are looking into the weapons detections and things like that, and it was commented it's not 100% accurate, and I 100% agree with that. If we stop 6 out of 10, 60%, that is well worth it in my mind. They're not that expensive. No offense to anybody, but the salaries that we pay out to have a board, well more than what a couple of metal detectors would be. You guys are doing a very important job, and it's appreciated greatly. That's not to take from that. But I do also feel that there was some level of accountability that's been skipped out on. It's been commented, yes, we did a lot of things right on that day. A lot of things were done right. But there were also things that slipped through the crack, and there's not been a single mention of any of that. I feel at the moment of our administration receiving a phone call from the perpetrator's mother. I don't understand why we couldn't have locked down the building then. That would have prevented a lot, possibly everything. I get that when they went to intervene, I understand the conflict with the similar named student. I get that as well. I don't think anybody here is unreasonable in any of this. I think we're all just, we saw in numbers from September 3rd, 93% attendance. The first week back, 88. The second week back, 86. It's just going to keep declining. My child doesn't feel safe going back. And this is, it seems to be something that we threw a lot of extra officers and personnel at for the first week, and he's already told me, he's like, yeah, most of them are not there anymore. And again, we're just being reactive. At what point do we start being proactive? I mean, we've got to prevent things before we worry about how great we did reacting to them. We shouldn't get to a point to have to be reactive as much as we can. Obviously, things are always going to happen. Humans are always going to be humans. There's good ones, there's bad ones, there's indifferent. But when we do nothing to be proactive, I don't think we need to sit back and pat ourselves on the back when we are reactive to these tragedies. That's just my personal opinion. And I don't think it's unreasonable. Something like clear book bags, even Gwinnett County, they're the largest school system in the state. They've already said, hey, look, we're voting on this. I have family in Gwinnett County. We're voting on this. We're willing to foot the bill. I know just from what's been made public, Appalachia High School individually has received over $40,000 worth of donations. That's just from a car show. That's not counting in the Texas Roadhouse, the bike club that raised over $30,000. That is an ample amount of money to buy cheap, clear book bags. And again, that's not the solve-all, but it is a step at being proactive to add some type of peace to my kid's mind, everybody else's kids. When they're looking around and they have to guess what's in his book bag, what's in his book bag, what's in his, they're terrified. And I imagine we're only going to see those numbers of attendance just to keep declining if we just continue to sit here and say, hey, we're offering you guys some more reactive measures. Because they're not elementary school kids. They're high school kids. They're smart enough to know and understand the world. They're smart enough. That's the first thing my son said to me. He's a junior. He said, Dad, it's just all reactive. And I couldn't argue it at all. But again, I appreciate everybody's time, and I hope something's taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Schultz. We appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Thank you. Is Courtney Snyder is our next speaker.
Hi, my name is Courtney Snyder. My oldest son is a freshman at Appalachia High. Like many here tonight, I'm here to advocate for stronger security policies with an emphasis on proactive, preventative solutions. I've spoken at length with some community members and even our own Dr. Bowen about several possible solutions and the potential concerns raised by each. I've quickly realized that I'm qualified to speak here only because I love a boy who hid on Jay Hall several weeks ago, and I love him very, very much. But that doesn't make me a security expert. I can't speak credibly to every concern raised. So I found someone who can. I've recently had the pleasure of speaking at length with a Mr. Darren Green, and I find that his qualifications may just be unmatched. He started his career in a classroom before moving into law enforcement, where he eventually worked to protect 2 presidential administrations. He then moved back into the schools by way of security in Henry County here in Georgia, and he is currently the Chief Security Officer of Rockdale County Schools. We talked a lot about a layered approach to security, something Dr. Bowen and Dr. Thompson have emphasized. This is important because no single solution can possibly mitigate every threat to our schools. But by layering different methods together, we can weave a very tight net and make a real difference. One such layer in Rockdale County is a clear backpack policy. I've heard concerns raised about this regarding privacy, especially for our female students, easily mitigated by small opaque bags of an allowable size. Could smaller contraband items fit inside these? Possibly, but a rifle could not. And this is just one layer. There was initially pushback from the community about this policy. Let's face it, people hate change. But Rockdale alleviated some of this by committing to purchase clear bags for the entire student population that first year. Now, Mr. Green believes that this policy is a popular one that makes Rockdale County safer and strengthens the ever-important see something, say something ideology. Next, Rockdale was the first county in Georgia to implement the open gate weapons detection system. They purchased 3 units, each consisting of 2 pillars that students walk between. Highly portable, they can be placed anywhere within a school as needed, and they rotate randomly around Rockdale County. They have found that in utilizing the system, there has been a major decline in the number of contraband items attempted to be brought into schools in the last 3 to 4 years. This does not only include weapons like guns, but also pocket knives, pepper spray, and even vapes, etc. A major concern raised about a system like this is timeliness. How long does it take to move a large population through it? Rockdale County High School has a student population of just over 1,900 students, comparable to Appalachia. Mr. Green did say that on the mornings the system is at this school, they do see a slowdown of about 15 to 20 minutes. But this is not every day, and they are actively working to alleviate this by purchasing 2 to 3 more units. I've also heard concerns about how implementing similar systems may affect local property values. Ignoring the morality of this question, I'll tell you that Mr. Green emphasized that they saw no such decreases in Rockdale, and in fact, their property values continue to soar. There are other layers to Rockdale's security plan, and I urge you all to look at their website and even give Mr. Green a call. Schools around the nation consult with him in developing policy, including many of our neighboring districts since September 4th. He was not only willing, but eager even, to speak with decision makers here in Barrow. He told me to speak to you specifically, Dr. LaDuff. He would like to talk to you. It is my sincere hope that we can look to a district like Rockdale and work with people like Darren Green to model future policy here at home. Finally, in the words of Sheriff Judd Smith, love will prevail. Now, let's put that love to work and make effective, real change to make our schools safer for our teachers, for our students, and for my own son. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Snyder, for being with us tonight. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you. Our next speaker is, sorry if I mispronounced, Mark Tefteller. I did.
Good evening. My name is Mark Tefteller. My wife actually is a high school teacher in neighboring Gwinnett County at Archer, and we have 3 children each, one in Bassa, one in CFIT, and one in elementary school. So we have one in each school. I appreciate that which has already been discussed, particularly certain safety measures by Dr. Thompson. Certainly the metal detectors and those things that can detect weapons, as well as clear bag policy. I also recognize that I was a junior in high school in April 1999 when Columbine happened, which has already been mentioned. That was 25 years ago. What data have we seen over those last 25 years? What patterns can we identify? I also was in the Salt Lake Airport on the morning of 9/11/2001. Those who traveled before 9/11 and those who have traveled since understand that as a nation, there was a conscientious effort to standardize airport security nationwide, and which is now really standardized globally. Is it not now time for us as a community and as a nation to standardize security measures in our schools? Over the last 25 years, we've seen a consistent increase in frequency and in damage in our school shootings. One of the things that has not been perhaps touched on that could be of value and to assist the police is what if we had teachers, administrators who are comfortable, trained, and experienced with a firearm, who are volunteers to spring into action, assist the police, and defend in the hallways the moment a lockdown and an active shooter appears. That would be defense from inside, instead of waiting for outside external people to come. If 5 or 6 of these teachers are positioned with their classes in a different section, hallway, or corner of a school, that would greatly increase response time and save lives. As soon as the lockdown occurs, they could grab their firearm, leave their students in their locked and secured classroom, and enter the hallway ready to respond if needed. These firearms are secured in a safe, which are never, ever opened except for in a single instance of a lockdown or an active shooter occurrence. Active shooters could then no longer hide or find recluse in certain secluded sections of a school where they know law enforcement will take longer to reach them. In these areas of the school, so many victims are defenseless if the active shooter catches people in the hallways, in between bathroom trips, etc., like what would happen on September 4th. Another thing of concern, we know that there was already historical issues with Mr. Gray. Was the information from Jackson County passed over to Barrow County? And if that was the case, why was he ever even allowed into our schools? No kid who ever makes a threat at a school deserves the tax-funded money to even be in our schools. If a kid wants to make a threat to our schools, they have lost their right to public education. We are parents. And may I also add that what we cannot control is the type of environment that these children come from. We cannot control the moral fabric or lack thereof that they have from their homes. But what we can do as parents is teach our own children and make sure that no external protective measures could ever compensate for the lack of vigilance we have as parents. Because the worth of every soul is great in the sight of God. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tefteller. We appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sonia Turner, but she could not attend, so I will read her statement. She is a mother of 2 Appalachia students. Good evening, members of the Barrow County Board of Education. I would like to begin by expressing my deep gratitude for the hard work and dedication you have shown behind the scenes, ensuring the success and safety of our students. It's clear to me that the staff of Appalachia High School have been tirelessly working to reach each child where they are with no judgment. As a parent, I've seen firsthand the incredible efforts our local schools are making to nurture the academic and personal growth of our students. It truly does not go unnoticed. As we look to the future, rather than touching on things I know already being discussed such as metal detectors, additional security measures, etc., I would like to focus on two other things I believe could be beneficial. First, to give parents a sense of involvement, having a parent safety/input committee working alongside the school board and the schools would allow those who want their concerns heard but may not be in a position to speak up in situations like this. This would be huge. This would create a dedicated point of contact for parent concerns to be heard and addressed, particularly in relation to the safety and security of our children. By providing an open line of communication and fostering collaboration, we can ensure that all voices are included in these important conversations, empowering parents to be active partners in supporting our schools. Secondly, I believe it's critical that we approach the safety of our students proactively rather than reactively. One suggestion I'd like to offer is the creation of a national database to track children who have exhibited red flags of violence or concerning behavior. This would allow any school that the child registers with to be made aware of their specific needs for additional attention and support. Such a system would help ensure early intervention and provide a safer environment for all students while also addressing those who may need targeted resources. While I know this is out of the scope of what you can do, if you could help guide me to identify an educational expert in this area who can explain the laws and legislation that are now in the way of such a database. With the help of our parents, we can start working with local lawmakers to ensure our children have the right to not only learn, but live in a safe space. Thank you again for all that you do. I look forward to working together to continue improving our schools and ensuring the safety of every student. And once again, that was from Sonia Turner. I believe she also left you something. And then our next speaker is, and I apologize again for her name, Dina Valladares. Am I saying that right? I do. Okay.
Good evening. First and foremost, let me start by thanking the board for allowing the community to speak tonight. My name is Dina Valladares, and I'm a photographer and event coordinator. But above all, I'm a mom and mentor for many children that I teach to dance in this community. September 4th was a day we will never forget, a day that most of us believed that never would occur in our town. I woke up to a text message from an Apple Watch of my daughter's friend, which informed me that there were shots fired within the school. In immediate panic, I was at the corner of Tom Miller and Roxy Maxey Road when I saw the sheriff blocking the road towards the school. Fear immediately took over. My initial thoughts were how to save my babies. I love all children as if they were my own, and at this very moment, their names were popping up in my head, and I just wanted to know that they were safe. I am grateful that they were mostly safe, but unfortunately, the safety zone is now tainted. At the end of the day of September 4th, when everyone walked away, we lost 4 lives. Mason Schermerhorn, Richard Aspinwall, Miss Christina Ermy, and Christian Angulo. We believe those 4 lives could have been preserved had there been stricter safety measures that may have prevented this occurrence. According to media reports, the school should have been shut down following the initial call from the shooter's mother. Following the call, it was reported that the school resource officer used time to locate the student. The state of Georgia is an open carry state. Even though there are rules and laws in place where weapons can and cannot be carried, it can be impossible to know if someone is carrying a weapon on them despite the rules. Statistics show that in the past year, 30 school shootings have occurred across our nation thus far or more. And unfortunately, Appalachia High School is now part of this list. We stand before you to ask and express our sense of urgency to implement additional safety measures. These measures should be implemented on all Barrow County school properties and athletic fields. A person who gets things done is being proactive. Being proactive allows the school system to get things done positively instead of waiting for negative events to happen to us. Being proactive means that we are ready before something happens. The following are some of the items we believe should be added to the school to the current school safety measures. Metal detection, as we've already spoken about. The clear book bag policy, school ID badges. I'm going to go ahead out of what I've written. School ID badges, when I was growing up, I'm an alumni of Miami Carroll City Senior High School in Miami-Dade County, one of the worst high schools in the 90s and up to today, unfortunately. The ID badge is used to identify a child or staff, just how you guys use them now. Even before the child is even close to you, you can identify them. So that was why I suggested that. Specific instruction for catastrophic training for all staff and volunteers, including substitute teachers, should be trained for active shooting. And we would like to see more transparency on behalf of the school board and their communication regarding the safety measures that we will be deciding on moving forward. I want to remind you all, our children are our most precious treasure and they're our future. And as such, we need to protect them at all times. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Valadares. And again, thank you everyone that chose to come out and speak with us tonight. I want you to know that we take each and every one of your comments to heart and that our team is going to look into every one of those avenues to see which is the best fit for our county and our students and our staff. So thank you again. Alrighty, at this time, the board is going to go into executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Alrighty, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved. Second, or whatever.
Mr. Bailey, Ms. Stevens, all in favor? All right, unanimous, motion passes. Next, I would like to call for a motion for the approval for authorization for committees to meet.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Stevens, Ms. Bailey, Ms. Kelly, all in favor? Motion passes. All righty, notice our next meeting dates. Our work session will be on October 29th, and our next regular board meeting will be November 5th. If there's nothing else to discuss, y'all have a good night. We're adjourned.